fix the situation. First, I have to get out the right stick. Here. Did it? Okay. Fine. My sincere thanks to the organizers as well, for everybody coming. I think it is a very important event, bringing together people from very different strands at a very important and symbolic venue. And I'm very happy and honored to be part of that occasion. I have tried to stick to my read given to me by the organizers, so I hope I'm not going to repeat things too much and give a perspective from as a German scholar and also activist and person committed and involved also to what's happening in Namibia. First, I think I should address the issue of collective memory, and that should bring us back to 110 years ago. On the side. Okay. No, it doesn't look like that. Sorry, where do I have to? Okay. 110 years ago, I just show you two images, and it was important to have them in consecutively. First, to see this triumphal image of a triumphal march. Incidentally, the last time a German army could celebrate a victory. Yeah, one should be aware of that. And believe you me, I think in Germany today we are lucky that they did not add any more victories to that. And on the other hand, that is a public image, of course, celebrating all these people whose names we have heard in image and the video driver. I'm not going to expand on that. And then somehow this doesn't work for me. Yeah. I'm very sorry about that. So the next image, of course, we have seen several times, and it is very ignominious. I think the most ignominious part of it is that this is from the illustration from a memory book, and if you are able to read German in Gothic script, you can see that it was put up, the whole story. Buga and Ida mentioned about women having to clean these bones and so forth, has been put up for public consumption. And I think this is something that makes a difference in terms of genocide in the 20th century, because there was intense propaganda and public debate about this genocide. And other genocides, including the Holocaust, were rather shrouded in secrecy. Even the perpetrators did not propagate them. And that is what happened there. And I think this is also one of the main avenues that lead to from the genocide to the Holocaust. Because the threshold, what you could see as something as admissible, what could be done to humans by humans, was lowered in the public mind. So we have a heroic image of a mass crime, and that, I'm not going into the details, but that continued up to 1945. So it is not true that there was denial in during the first half of the 20th century in Germany about the Namibian genocide. It was extolled as a heroic deed, even including killing people because of the land. We can go into that in the questions and answers. But then there was an epistemic break in 1945. As you know, Nazi rule collapsed. It was a catastrophe in every term for Germany. Of course, the moral and the catastrophe did not take place in 1945. It took place in 1933, to be sure. And of course, in some ways as well, earlier as we have heard today. But the preoccupation, I think, also with the Holocaust and to some extent with Reconstruction and so forth, meant that there was virtual amnesia about Germany as a colonial power, including the genocide in Namibia in the following decades. So people were not aware of it. They were not. It was not in their minds as a real issue. And on top of that, there was official denial in about from 1990 to 2015 that if German public diplomacy, official politics tried to evade the term genocide. They said, yeah, horrible things have happened, but we don't talk about genocide. You know, it was astounding to what lengths they went. They prevented monuments to mention this term, furthermore, genocide. So it had to be somehow certain. And I said 2015 because last year in very provisional ways, the Foreign Office, the German Foreign Office, acceded to acknowledging genocide and to announce the commencement of negotiations with Namibia. Now, this is something we have heard before. There is especially also an issue within Namibia, and from the German side, as far as I understand the official position, which is not communicated too much in public, there is the issue of reparations. Reparations are supposed to be ruled out by German public policy, as far as I understand. So they think they can acknowledge genocide, they can formulate an apology, and then they are going to do good things for Namibians, certainly, but they don't want to call it reparation. Now, reparation, obviously, in German ears has a funny sound. They always think about the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 and the problematic consequences that usually are ascribed to then the reparations imposed on Germany then by the victorious Allies. But obviously there is a concept in German that speaks to the demand for reparation. That is in German political language referring to various ways of dealing with the Holocaust, Wiedergutmachung, to put things right again. In full conscience that you cannot put things right after a genocide. But at least also in the debate about deep apology, the national debate about deep apology and reconciliation, the sincere wish to do anything in your power to alleviate what has happened is part of a truthful recognition. And so I don't see any way our government will be able to evade that, and that is of course something to be seen. There is of course the parliamentary opposition which is at the moment very weak. It is, I think, just over 20% of the deputies. Both oppositional parties have shown a different position, and something I want to highlight a little bit more in the remaining time is the campaigning by post-colonial groups. Post-colonial groups that are numerically not very large, but they are vocal, and they have also forged ties with our Namibian partners and friends. And I think that is at the moment a very important fact, especially since we see in Namibia that those who have been present and who have forged these ties between Namibia and Germany are now apparently being sidelined in Namibia. And of course then these people who have been involved in these activities feel what is happening. Those who have been in the front of this issue are supposed to be excluded. That cannot be. I just will show you a little bit what kinds of approaches have been pursued. And there is first the attempt to address memorials. There are quite a few colonial memorials in Germany. The most imposing is this elephant of brick erected in 1932 as the Colonial War Veterans Memorial in Bremen, and it reads underneath "To our colonies." Now, this memorial, which is still standing, this is a historical picture, and this memorial has been rededicated several times. It forms now part of the Nelson Mandela Memorial Park, and is now considered as an anti-colonial memorial. And we see here a location when a placard was unveiled in the presence of Sam Nujoma, the first president of independent Namibia, and the Bremen mayor, who is sort of like a governor in Bremen. And so this is an attempt to change a memorial and to also make people aware. Another issue is contested spaces. We have here a commemoration at Herero Street in Munich. Herero Street used to be Luther von Trotha Street. And there was a long campaign about this, that Luther von Trotha should go and it should be renamed. So eventually they achieved that it was called, in German, Herero-Straße. I want to share experience with you. After that had happened, I attended a lecture by a specialist of Herero customs in Windhoek. And before she went into a lecture, she complained that now something new has been happening in Southern Ovaherero, namely to name this street Herero Street and not Ovaherero Street. And I was flabbergasted. I thought, well, now people have been campaigning for 10 years and now they have achieved this. And what's happening? And then I asked my Namibian friends and from various groups, and they all agreed, yes, this is right. And I said, but you know, there is Ovaherero, there's Ochi, and it's difficult. And then they said, well, then they should have consulted the elders. And I think that was a very, very appropriate point, because what had happened in Munich, they were campaigning like hell, they were exerting themselves, but they never thought about involving the Namibians. And so I think this is, and of course this involves also a Namibian group. You see a person you have just seen on stage, pleading for further changes of street names in the colonial quarter of Munich. Okay, and this is of course a symbolic connection many of you will recognize. On occasion of the Namibian delegation in 2011, and I don't want even, for those who don't know what it is, I don't know. This is the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, and it is in 2011 members of the delegation who came to bring home the skulls. And of course, the Holocaust Memorial is dedicated to the murdered Jews of Europe. And there was controversy whether it should be to the victims of Nazism or to the murdered Jews of Europe, which is a difference. Now there is, on the opposite side of this road, there is also a memorial for the gays and lesbians who have been victimized by the Nazis, and to the Sinti and Roma. And so when we talked about that, some of my friends said, what about us? So there is this question, shouldn't there be an anti-colonial memorial in this area of Berlin, in this very elaborate memory landscape? There is also, has to be mentioned, protest, and again in 2011, at the handing over ceremony of these skulls, scandal broke out because of the speech of the junior foreign minister, who then, when these people, who mostly are African Germans, protested against the attitude taken by the government during that repatriation. She unceremoniously left the occasion, and diplomatic debacle ensued for several months. We can also address in the question after. So there is activity going on, and the last image I would like to share with you is from last July, when a petition was handed over to the president's office, which you see in the background, in Berlin, and you see a group of Namibian delegation and various people from the activists from Berlin, and they hold up this self-explaining poster calling for immediate apology. This was shortly before the Foreign Office spokesperson unceremoniously acknowledged that they would now no longer evade the word genocide in their public dealings, and start a dialogue about this. And this is where we stand at the moment. In closing, I would like to share with you thoughts that I had last year going to a movie some of you might have also seen, Lady in Gold. It's about this beautiful painting by Gustav Klimt of a Jewish lady in Vienna, and it had been stolen from the family by the Nazis and then displayed in the main appropriate public museum in Vienna. And the niece of this lady who had escaped from Vienna then demanded restitution. And the movie is mostly about the long process of trying to get the Austrian officials to talk. And eventually, the lady and her attorney prevailed after very, very long litigation and very acrimonious exchanges. And then the Austrian official, who always had been very tight-fisted and haughty, then says to her, well, my dear lady, now that you have prevailed, you will certainly not say the Austrian Mona Lisa can not stay in the Belvedere in Vienna. And she says, had you been more forthcoming and respectful in the first place, I would have thought about it. But now she is going to take the same route as I have done in 1938, and she will cross the Atlantic Ocean. And I think this is a very indicative idea, because it shows how important it is and constructive also not to insist on these judicial terms, which are maybe even spurious and misleading. And with this I would like to close. Thank you for your attention.